Well, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone. My name is Rob Schaefer, Product Management Director for Field Service Management. And today we're going to talk about contractor management and the contractor experience. So we call it Improve the Contractor Experience with Field Service Management. This is one of our many live on ServiceNow webinars. I'll be talking in a moment or two about some of the other upcoming events as well. With me, as always, is my great friend Vasanth. Vasanth Terrance, can you say hello to everyone?
Hi everyone. Good morning, good evening.
So Vasanth is the senior principal product manager. He and I work together closely on a lot of the functionality around field service management, in particular contractor management. Vasanth is, I call him the godfather of contractor management at ServiceNow, and I'm always happy to be able to share some screen time with him. For today, we will be showing what's available in out-of-the-box functionality, but we put our safe harbor notice up here just in case we do talk about anything that's forward-looking. And if we do, those would be beliefs that they're the current beliefs of ServiceNow. Based on the current information that we have, they shouldn't be relied on in making any purchasing decisions. So we also have this entire live on ServiceNow webinar series, and I've presented in a number of them. Vasanth has presented with me. My friend Harriet has presented as well. If you take a snapshot of this QR code, or I believe we're going to share this in the notes here, the Q&A comments here. You'll be able to click on that link and you'll be able to register to see what's upcoming and decide if any of those make sense for you. So we'd love to see you at some of these other events as well. Right. So for today, we're going to talk about some of the workflows relevant to outsourced work, to work that goes to your third-party service organizations, your contractors. And we'll talk about the experience of the individual contractor, agent, or technician. We'll review the challenges that they face. We'll look at the more detailed role of the contractor, and then we'll go into some scenarios and demonstrations. We'll finish up with some calls to action where you can get more information, and then we'll go through your Q&A. So let's start with the contractor experience. There are different common workflows that we see when working with the organizations that outsource work to their contractors. First, there's a lot of turnover amongst our contractors and within our contractors. So how can we quickly onboard and vet those contractors and then allow them to in turn onboard their own resources as they have turnover within their organization? And then when work orders come in, how can we determine which work should be assigned and how do we assign that work to those contractors? Do we do it based on simple geography? Or are there particular skills or product line coverages? And how do we determine the different capacities that those contractors have? It may be as simple as, hey, this contractor can do 20 hours worth of work a week or 4 jobs a week. Or there might be some contractual obligations. If my company is going to make ourselves available to you, you have to give us at least 50 hours worth of work a week. We're going to bill you for a minimum of 50 hours worth of work a week. So please get that. Give us as much work as you can. And then how do we support that contractor in the field, whether they're connected or disconnected, so that we can help them with that offline or that debrief experience, documenting the parts, the notes, uploading attachments and images, safety, compliance, and inspection checklists, right? Again, whether connected or offline. And then finally, how do we review? How do we measure how our contractors are performing? Are they meeting SLAs? Where are the risks and the gaps? What are the customer sat surveys and the contractor agent ratings we're receiving feedback from our customers on? So when we talk about the role of the contractor, right? What's important to them, or what's important to us that they get right? Well, first, making sure that they have the information that they need and the skills that they need to complete that work the first time, to meet those SLAs, and then to be self-sufficient. We want to make sure, again, they have all that information so that they don't have to call back to their manager or their peers or even our organization. We'll, of course, support them if that's needed, but we want to give them the information, and they don't want to have to reach out to anyone else either. We want to make sure that they can debrief that work, whether they're connected or offline, and document safety, maybe the lockout tagout procedures if it's mechanical equipment. Maybe there are some other regulatory beyond OSHA. Maybe there's some telecom industry regulations, or automotive, right, or healthcare, as well as documenting our own internal procedures. So documenting them in an audit-friendly, audit-ready process. And then to be able to manage and maintain inventory so that we're constantly up to date on that. We're maintaining the integrity. We're identifying any stock shortages and having stock fulfillment rules to update those stock levels where appropriate. So that means some of the challenges that we see when an organization outsources its work to contractors is the lack of communication, right? I'm the dispatcher. I don't have necessarily a relationship with the contractor organization or their technicians. Maybe there's a service manager that does, but I'm the dispatcher who's responsible for assigning that work. So there's a disconnect between all these different parties, the customer, the dispatcher, the manager of that contractor, and the actual agent or technician for that contractor, right? So there's a degree of separation between each of these parties, which causes confusion, right? And that also means that drives or results in a lack of control. When we toss a work order over the fence to another company, right? They may not be using our tools, or even if they are using our tools, we don't have as much control over how they're responding, how they're entering. They might just put in baseline notes at the end. They might just be getting away with the bare minimum. So they're providing inconsistent documentation. They're not conforming to our documentation needs. And of course, because we want them to do all that work, right, we want to make sure that they can support all that debrief process, even parts, even knowledge access, even those safety inspections and questionnaires while they're offline. So those connectivity issues can't be an issue, meaning if they're disconnected, they can still keep running, doing their work. When they get back into a connected area, we can automatically sync that data for them. So when we focus on engaging contractors and making sure we're achieving the compliance, right? We want to do that on a single platform. And hey, lo and behold, ServiceNow is this single platform, right, that supports the onboarding and definition of contractor capacities, how much work they can do in a day, week, month, whatever that time frame is, so that we can schedule that work effectively, drive consistent documentation of the internal and regulatory processes, making sure that the system is technologically available, and then supporting surveys from the customers, those customer satisfaction surveys. So we're going to go into a demonstration in a few moments. I'd like to give an overview of that, and then Vasanth, I'll have you step in and take over and share your slides. Will you be ready for that in a moment, Vasanth?
Yes, Rob.
Thank you. All right, so I'm going to review some of these scenarios. So we're going to focus on four main personas. The first is that internal contractor management, contractor manager, and their role is to onboard, to vet and onboard the appropriate contractor organizations that meet their needs. Boy, we have a gap in this geography, or we need to supplement our own teams with third parties to handle a particular product line or have a particular skill. Our domain is not plumbing, right? So when we need someone to do the plumbing before we can install something, right? We want to offload that work to that third party organization to do the plumbing. So they decide what the needs are. They vet and onboard those the company, its manager or managers, and agents. Right? And the external contractor manager as well will be able to onboard their own agents as well, but we give them both that role. The internal contractor manager also creates the appropriate groups, routing criteria, skills, capacity levels. They approve onboarding requests, maybe from the external company, and then they review that overall contractor performance. Now, when work orders come in, the dispatcher takes over. And the dispatcher then is responsible for managing the schedule of their own internal resources to meet customer SLAs, but to determine when and where work needs to be assigned to external resources, to those contractors, and to also be able to recognize when we are at risk of not meeting a contractor's capacity levels. So if we're supposed to give them 12 jobs a day and we've only given them 2, right? We want to make sure that we're balancing that or we're meeting those capacities where appropriate. Now let's cross the line. The dividing line is over to the right. So the 2 personas on the right work for the contractor company. So the external contractor manager works for that plumbing company, and they manage their technicians. They onboard their technicians because they've got turnover within their organization. They receive tasks that have been assigned to their company from that dispatcher, and then they in turn assign that task to their own team members. And then they review that task compliance internally for the work that I've assigned to my team. Who's work in progress, who's traveling, who's completed work, who's not accepted jobs, so that I can find out what I need to do, what actions I need to take to make sure we're meeting the SLAs and we're going to get paid as planned. And finally, the last part downstream is the external contractor manager assigns work to an external contractor technician. They get work assigned to them. They manage those assigned tasks. They manage any inventory that's been assigned to them. They source parts. They request parts if they find a need. And then they debrief that work to meet those SLAs. So those are the 4 scenarios or personas, and I'm going to ask Vasanth to start sharing. You can just take over from me and run from there.
Thanks, Rob. You'll be able to see my screen?
Yes.
Awesome. Thanks, Rob, for setting the context. So the first demo, what we will visualize is the internal contractor manager responsibilities. So Tim David is an internal contractor manager. So he's responsible for the field service operations, handling the vendors and contractors. So Tim David can onboard a new contractor organization and then define the criteria how these contractors needs to be selected. It could be based upon the product and services they are offering or based on their skills. And these contractor companies, larger contractor companies can have multiple divisions. And if the contractor companies agrees to provide both, say, for example, electrical and plumbing activities, then there could be 2 different departments. And Tim David would have the capability to organize these groups so that whenever work orders and work order tasks come, they can be routed to the right group within the contractor companies. And Tim David can also set up the capacity rules as an agreement between the company and the contractor, saying that how much tasks or what is the amount of work they can do for a single OEM, right? And Tim also has a capability to define, say, for example, if the issue is related to pumps, then route these tasks to the contractor companies because we don't have enough skilled internal employees. So all these are the capabilities which internal contractor manager for the field service organization can do. So let me show you how this can be done in the system. So I have logged in as Tim David, the internal contractor manager. So let me show how Tim David would be able to onboard contractor companies providing field service operations. So Tim David can see the list of contractors currently registered, verified, authorized to perform job on behalf of the company. But in case if there is a new contractor which needs to be onboarded, so Tim can create, this is a field service type of company, and turn our pumps and motors. So this is the company which is trying to provide a service. And since Tim David is responsible for these contractor companies, by default, Tim is given the option. And let's say they are also from San Francisco and this United States. So once we save this, this is the basic contractor company information. We can add more details like their phone numbers, street details, everything. But once the company record is being created, Tim has an option to onboard the manager who is going to represent Turner Pumps and Motors. So Tim can onboard the manager and provide a role and an email. And once the manager is onboarded, automatically, since we have onboarded Roshan as the manager, automatically what will happen is Roshan will be given the external contractor manager role behind the scenes. So now the company is created, the contractor company is created, and there is a manager which is already onboarded. So the manager can also be an agent. So the number of agents representing the company is updated. And as we saw that Tim David is responsible for this company, we can also have additional internal contractor managers. So in case if there is a replacement needed for Tim when he is away, so we can add additional managers. But so far what you have seen is that Tim onboarding a company and onboarding a manager who is going to represent the contractor company. So now let's go to the next step of how this company is being represented for routing the field service jobs. So let's create a group which will be the representation for this company, Turner Pumps and Motors. So once we create a group, automatically this group is handled by Roshan, who is the external contractor manager. So this information is automatically populated. So once we save this record, which is going to be the entity which is going to be used for routing the work order and work order tasks. So now the group is being created, and Tim can add required skills. So let's say, for example, Tim adds, so these are into pumps and rotors. So he can add this skill set to this particular company, and locations covered. So contractors probably are onboarded because they have certain skill set, and also they may be covering certain area, right? So let's say that since this company is representing from the San Francisco area, so they are ready to cover the San Francisco area. So we can add the location covered as San Francisco. So all the locations under San Francisco, when work orders tasks are coming, with this particular skill set and from a customer from the San Francisco region. And we can also additionally say that Tuner Pumps and Motors is covering certain product models. So let's say, for example, they are into the pumps. So we can say that they are into the one specific pump product model. We can add the product model also. So this whole setup represents that Tuner Pumps and Motors, whenever there is a job coming from San Francisco area and requires this particular skill set for this particular product model, the system will be able to route the task to Tuner Pumps and Motors. Like Tuner Pumps and Motors, there could be multiple contractor companies, and depending upon the volume of incoming work and the capacity which Tuner Pumps and Motors and other contractor companies are agreeing with the OEMs, the tasks will be routed. So now let's see that after this company is onboarded, Tuner Pumps may say that, okay, we work for multiple companies, but for your company, we can provide 10 hours of work on a daily basis, right? So what Tim can do is that Tim can go to the capacity definitions. So this is where Tim can define the capacity of Tuner Pumps and Motor Company. So he can create a new definition saying that, so this definition is for tuner pumps, and they can say that, okay, we can give a capacity of 10 hours on a daily basis, and this can be assigned to the group which is representing tuner pumps and motors. So once this capacity definition is being created, we can assign this definition to the group which we have just created, right? So this group is nothing but representing the contractor company.
And
Likewise,
Vasanth, this is really important because think of when COVID was much more prevalent and, hey, my team can support 100 hours worth of work a week. Well, suddenly half their team is out with COVID. So we would need to create a new capacity definition for maybe the next 10 days while they're all being quarantined, right?
Yep. Yeah, exactly. So let's say, for example, there is a 10-day capacity which is being promised. And then after probably 10 days, there is a review to change the capacity. They can change it. Or even as Rob mentioned, that in case if we need to override, we can do also override on a particular day. Say, for example, if we open this capacity assignments and within this 22nd and 31st of August, if we want to change the capacity from 10 hours to 5 hours because the contractor is running short of resources, or they have more resources onboarded, they can supply more work. All those things can be done as an override within the days, or we can directly change the capacity definition also. So now what we saw is like Tim creating a company, creating the rules, how the tasks, creating a group which represents the company, and also defining what kind of capacities can be provided by tuner pumps and motors, right? And in addition to that, what Tim can also do is that they can create some metadata information saying like, if the work type is related to pumps, then we want to assign this work to contractor companies, because as a company, we know that we don't have enough skilled resources to do this kind of activities. So Tim can create new work type. So let's say, for example, if the work type is related to GE pumps and motors, this is the work type, break fix work. This can be always routed to the external group. So the external group is nothing but the list of contractors who are eligible to take jobs when the work type matches to this particular value. And based on the skill sets and the locations covered, the task will be routed to them. Okay. So far, just summarizing what we saw in the demo, Tim David onboarded a new contractor organization, defined the criteria which can be used to route the task to the contractor company, created a group, define some routing criteria like the skills, location, and the product models, and also define how much work as a contractor company they can provide. And also Tim created a work type which will represent that this task can be done by the contractor companies. Okay, so now let's move on to the next persona. So Tim has done all the job of onboarding these contractor companies, and there is a field service dispatching team, right? So Lisa Ray is our dispatcher. So Lisa Ray manages the incoming works. She manages both internal and external. So external is the contractor companies. So Lisa Ray can review the tasks, and in case if the tasks need to go to an external, the system can automatically assign. But in case the system puts on a hold because this task can be manually assigned by the contractor, by the dispatcher, Lisa Ray can do that. And then Lisa Ray can also review how these capacities are being shared by the contractor companies. So everything is visually available for Lisa Ray to make some informed decisions while she is trying to do her day-to-day routine work. Let's see how Lisa Ray manages it. Let me now switch as Lisa Ray, the dispatcher. So this is the dispatcher console where Lisa can manage all the internal technicians who are on roles of the company. And also she can see that there are some contractor companies, right? These are some of the companies which have already been onboarded, and these are also shown on the dispatcher workspace. And what we can also see is that the capacity of each and every contractor, say for example, Acme Motors, as of today, they have been booked 70%, and they have been defined as a per day capacity of 5 hours, whereas Bay Electrical, they have committed to 50 tasks per month, whereas Donner has committed 40 hours per week. Likewise, there are various capacities which have been promised by various contractors who are working for this company. And Lisa Ray is responsible for all these contractor companies, because Lisa Ray manages a certain set of dispatch group and under which these contractor companies are eligible. So Lisa Ray not only sees this information to make some decisions, she can also see the tasks which are being assigned to these contractor companies. So now this removes the disconnect kind of experience between the contractors and the OEMs, right? So as and when the tasks are being assigned, worked upon, there is a real-time connectivity and information passed from the contractor companies to the OEMs. So Lisa Ray never loses sight of what activities and what is the status of the jobs which are going on. So she has a summarized view and updated information about the tasks which are being assigned to the contractors. So even if a customer calls the company and asks, oh, what is the state of the work order task, so Lisa Ray will be able to exactly tell what is the state, when it is going to be done, what is the progress. All information is available for Lisa Ray to take the decision, right? So now let's take an example that there is a work order task which is yet to be assigned. And if you can see that this task has to be done today and it is supposed to be done at 11 a.m. So generally this task can be assigned to internal people, but Lisa Ray sees that most of the technicians are busy, occupied, and there is very less room to assign the task at the specified time of this work. But she knows that there are few contractors who can do this job. So what Lisa can do is that Lisa can drag this job directly, drop it in the Acme contractors lane itself. So this says that, okay, what Lisa is now doing is that assigning this work order task directly to a contractor company. She can either do it by drag and drop, or she can open this work order task and she can update in the record page also. So there are multiple options in which she can do. Let's try to do this from the drag and drop experience. So once we drag and drop this task, So this task will get disappeared, and we can see that automatically the capacity utilized for Acme motors got increased from 70 percentage to 90 percentage. So previously they were booked for 3.5 hours. Now they have been booked for 4.5 hours. So now this gives a clear picture uh, to Lisa how the contractors are currently managed, right? She gets this entire visibility. It's not only on a day view. Lisa will also be able to see the information on a weekly view or any view. And so if she switches to a weekly view, she can see that, okay, on different days in a week, how these contractors are being booked. So this also gives Lisa an option to take more informed decisions and also keeps her constantly updated about what is being done by these contractor companies. So there is no communication loss, there is no data information loss. Everything is being visible, transparent to the OEM companies where Lisa Ray works, and also to the contractor companies, right? So far what we saw is that how Lisa Ray was able to review the assignments, review the capacity levels, and how she can assign the job to contractor companies, and also review the various capacities across the contractor companies, right? So now, after this job has been assigned to a contractor company, so now Judy Smith, who is representing the Acme Motors company, has received a job, right? So she will be able to review the task which has been assigned. Though the company, Acme Motors, has said that they can take 5 hours, even still Judy Smith will be able to review, accept or reject the task, because she may feel that the technicians who are actually doing the job may take more time. So she has an option to review and accept or reject the task. And then, or if she wants to accept, she can accept and reassign the job to one of the technicians who wants to actually do the job. And also she can review the tasks which are being currently performed by the team she manages. So let's see this experience in the mobile. So I have logged in as Judy Smith. So Judy Smith is the external contractor manager. And what Judy Smith can also see is that who are all the team members, what are all the groups she is managing. So she is representing the motors division. And within the motors division, she has Luke Wright and Karma working as technicians. So she can assign jobs to them. So even if Judy Smith is on the field, she can also perform these jobs, right? So this is the list of team members which Judy manages. And the incoming work, so Judy Smith can see all the list of works which have been assigned to the team, and she can review them. She can reassign the tasks. Let us open one of the tasks which have been assigned to her. Let me open the task. So this was the task which we assigned, noise from pump, which was assigned by Lisa Ray to Judy Smith. So Judy can review, okay, where this task needs to be done, what is the estimated duration, and she can see that, okay, this job can be done. Let me go ahead and accept this task. But she may not be able to do the job, but what she can do is that she can reassign this job to one of the technicians. So within the same mobile user interface, what Judy can do is that she can open the action, and she can say that, okay, let me reassign this job to one of my technicians. So she can pull up the technician list and say that, okay, let me assign this job to Luke. And now the job is reassigned to Luke. Awesome. So now what we saw is that Judy reviewing the task and accepting the task and reassigning the job to one of the technicians who would actually perform this job. Similarly, what Judy can also do is that she can go into the list of tasks which her team manages. She can see that, okay, these are the list of tasks. Few are in accepted, few are in work in progress, and who is working on what task. All this information is available to Judy. It's not only to Judy, even the contractor, whatever updates have been done by the technician is also directly visible to Lisa. So this is a great connected experience between different stakeholders who are working on this issue. And since we are using the mobile application, these activities can be done offline. And later, once the technicians have their connectivity, they can sync back this data back into the system.
Well, so
Okay.
let's take a look at what happens when we get to offline, right? So here we've got the contractor debrief. And from that perspective, Luke Wright is that external contractor agent that you just saw get assigned that new job. So Luke is going to log into their mobile app. He could receive a notification, hey, you were assigned this new job, this noise from pump issue. He can review his workload and his inventory. He can review his assigned work and accept or reject it as well. If it rejects, it goes back to Judy, right? Am I sharing the right screen?
Yeah.
Okay, good. I'm seeing a different screen here. You can see the contractor debrief demonstration.
Yes, Rob.
Okay, good. I was seeing something else on mine. All right, and then Luke would go in and actually debrief that work. They would review the job, review the directions, start that work, document that debrief, the safety inspections, the lockout, tagout, record parts consumption, time and expenses, complete that work, and maybe even get a customer signature. And then at the end, maybe they complete that job early. And since they're available, they want to review if there's anything that they can do since they've got maybe an extra hour, hour and a half free. So let's take a look at that experience. I'm going to log into my mobile app and share my screen. And I'm looking at my mobile app. Move that off to the side. And here in the mobile app, as Luke Wright, I might get a notification that pops up on my screen, or I could just review any of the notifications about the noise from pump that was assigned to me. Right? I could look at all of my work. I could review my inventory. The inventory shows what I have in my personal stock trunk that is in a good working available state or defective stock as well. And I can take that defective stock, maybe I have a couple bad DC inverters, and I could add them to a drop-off list to return to an inventory location. At the same time that I review that drop-off list, I may, similarly to that drop-off list, I may have a pickup list of parts that I need to pick up for upcoming work. And then I can also review the knowledge base that will give me information. I can, search across it. I can review on, different types of knowledge articles, videos, etc. out there. But let's work on this work noise from pump. The first thing I'm going to do is review it, review any type of details that are available for it. If there are any notes in the activity stream, I could click on the location field to launch native app native navigation tools like Apple Maps or Waze or Google Maps. Once I've reviewed all this, I might say, I'm ready, so I'm going to accept this job, and I can start travel. That will notify the dispatcher based on color coding on the dispatcher workspace that I have indeed accepted that job, that I have started travel. And then I can start work. Now I start work again. The dispatcher has instant visibility to that as well. So as I'm reviewing this, I might want to look at some of those details. Maybe I think I'm ready to start consuming parts, but maybe I want to browse that knowledge base first. And in browsing the knowledge base, it's going to serve up, it's going to locate the most relevant knowledge articles based on the type of work. It's a noise from pump. So there's general pump servicing, there's the pump recalibration, and I could drill into that, take a look at the details on that, and see if it makes sense, and I can mark it as useful and helpful. I can post comments on it, etc. So that was useful to me, and it gives me a good idea of what I want to do. One of the instructions may have been to launch that questionnaire, that safety checklist for my different types of repair work. Maybe it's performing that lockout tagout. And here it's asking me, did I seal the pump? What's my initial pump reading? 452 PSI. What's the closed pump reading? 588, and any additional comments. So I can submit that, I can complete that questionnaire, and these are all highly configurable as well. Now, at the same time, I may want to take a photo of maybe the pump. That obviously isn't a pump, but I'm going to upload that image to show, hey, here's what it looked like before, here's what it looked like afterwards. I can put in notes as well. Now I'm ready to consume parts. So there were no part requirements, but I want to either remove a part or simply consume a part. And here it's displaying the inventory that I have in stock. So I'm going to use a Cat 6 cable, which may not make sense on a pump, but go with it for my demonstration. And I will also use a controller card network. And I'll use one of those as well. So I've consumed multiple parts. So now it's showing me here are the parts that were consumed. Again, I could remove a part if applicable. Here are the parts that are available to be removed. I can record other details like incidentals or expenses. I could record my labor. So I could perform any of those details. But now I've completed this debrief to the best of my ability. I want to document. Replace Cat 6 unit is working properly. I can create a follow-up task, and now I submit that. Once I submit it, now it's ready for me to capture a signature from that customer. But I first want to show them a preview of everything that was done. Here was the work order. Here's the asset number. Here's the description. Here's who I am. Here's the assets. I can see all the details on that as well. So the Cat 6 and the network card. And I hand this off to the customer, and he or she can accept and confirm. And I can submit that. Once that's done, I can go to the activity stream and see that PDF of that work that was actually completed, including that signature. This will be sent directly to that customer as well. So now I've completed that work, and maybe I want to look and see what else is available. And maybe I want to take a job that's available and assign it to myself. So I could select a job and click assign to me and take that workload from anyone else. So that was the process of the contractor technician performing that debrief, viewing their inventory, viewing the work order, accepting it, starting that work, leveraging the knowledge base, documenting that safety information, all that powerful debrief information, again, whether connected or offline, even getting a customer signature. The final scenario, and I know I want to leave a little time for Q&A, is the analysis demonstration. We want to review our contractors' performance. So we're going to go back to Tim David. That's who Vasanth was looking at earlier when he onboarded the contractors, right? So Tim is that internal contractor manager. Tim's going to look at the overall contractor performance. He's going to look at individual company performance as well, not just across all of the contractors, and then maybe elevate their skills and assignment criteria based on other details. So let's take a look at that experience. So here I have visibility, and I can look at the jobs. There are 43 that were assigned, 18 accepted, 25 closed complete. I think that should say 26 now because we just closed. Yeah, 26 are now closed complete because you just saw Luke complete that job. So across all of my contractors over the last 30 days, here's all the work that's been assigned. We can see the number of break fix jobs versus installs versus preventive maintenance or planned maintenance type work. We can see the jobs that were non-compliant, and I could drill in to those to see those non-compliant records. We could go back to my dashboard. We could see where the SLA breaches are occurring. There are 3 SLA breaches. You can look at all the close complete tasks, the number of agents in the universe that I support across all my contractors, the number of times jobs have been rejected and needed to go back through the process to be reassigned, and then our average agent rating. So I might want to look at an individual like Acme Motors. And here we can see, oh, they have a little bit higher rating than the average, right? And I can see the work that they've completed, and their breaches and non-compliant appointments, et cetera, and where their workload is. So I could look at all of that, and I might actually even want to say, well, let's look at maybe the jobs that they've closed, right? And I could drill into those jobs, and I could say, I want to perform a little bit, and ideally I'd have a lot more data here. I want to view a report or an interactive analysis of that data. So here I'm looking at the types of work versus who the jobs have been assigned to. Maybe I want to look at it instead by status and by the work type in this case. So there are different ways that you can view it. And based on the fields that you've exposed here, maybe I put the product model number, maybe I put the territory, maybe I put other parameters. That also dictates what information I'm going to be able to render my interactive analysis charts based on, right? And I can further filter it and everything else. So if we go back to our contractor dashboard, then I can look at any of my other contractors as well. Here's Bay. We might look at tuner, pump, and gas. You're not going to see a lot of data here, and you can imagine why. We just saw Vasanth create that. So as I look through all these, I can see the individual performance. These guys have a great average agent rating, but they're not doing a whole big ton of work. So again, I can look at all of this, and based on how I analyze this data, maybe I want to upskill some of the contractor company's skills. Maybe my friends at Acme, I want to give another skill to based on some of the work and the performance levels they've achieved. So it gives me great visibility into that overall performance and the actions that we might want to take on it. So those are our scenarios. I want to review. Today, we talked about the contractor workflows and their experience, the different challenges, the lack of control, the poor communication between the companies, what happens when they're disconnected, et cetera. And then we went through the different scenarios of onboarding resources and their teams. So onboarding the companies and their resources, scheduling work based on contractors and their capacities, debriefing work in the field, and then analyzing the performance of contractors. So to work with all this, if this was powerful, meaningful to you, and as an organization, you're ready within your ServiceNow instance to take the leap and start taking advantage of some of the capabilities with contractor management, there are some plugins that are available for you that will help you initiate those processes. There's great system documentation here as well. In fact, if we click on the link, here we'll see the details. There's great information that will walk you through. I always try to play up our powerful documentation tools around managing contractors and any of the workflows. Contractor dashboard, contractor management, right? So here we can look at all of the details around that as well. And of course, we'd like you to try these steps. Go back. We'll share these slides with you, and you can walk through those steps yourself to help understand how that system works, how easy it is to manage those contractor workflows and scenarios. So again, here's our contractor documentation, our documentation overall. There's a link here. We're going to go to Q&A in a moment. I just want to remind you, we've shared the link to the interactive series so you can see other upcoming events. We also have a YouTube FSM, Field Service Management specific playlist. This recording will also even be on here. Here's a previous one, Improving Technician Productivity. So some of these are, much longer, 50 minutes, but some of them are 1 minute to 3 minutes long on contractor capacity planning or equipment scheduling, right? So that there's a lot of great information and detail. All right, so I want to thank you for all of your questions, for you participating. Again, there is an upcoming webinar series for field service in September. We've got what's new in the Vancouver release. The Vancouver release is going live in just a few short weeks. It's already available in early availability to our customers, but it is going live to be generally available in September. And so at the end of September, the 22nd, I believe, is when we have that What's New webinar. And I'm hoping you can all join us as well and tell your friends. So I want to thank you all for your time. Please, join in on any of the other sessions in Live on ServiceNow and have a great rest of your day. Thank you all.